Hey, hey, hey! This is Best Practices Unveiled. This podcast is a judgment-free zone where we will have real open conversations about various topics. Our objective is simple yet profound. We're going to provide you listeners with valuable insights and wisdom from engaging guests and a passionate host. Best practices are not a quick fix. They represent a lifelong journey of growth, learning, and continuous improvement. We are creating a space that embraces inclusivity and shared experiences, offering something for everyone. Stay tuned. Welcome everyone. So today this segment is really dear to my heart. We're going to be talking about parent-child relationships, child rearing in 2025. I have two very special guests here, Kim and Kenneth Norton. They're also a part of Kids R Us Family Child Care Program. Kim, how are you today?
I'm good. A little nervous.
Oh, don't be nervous. We do this. We're just going to have a conversation. How about you today, Kenneth? How you feeling today?
I'm good. I'm trying to, put that positive energy out there and just, it's going to be a great episode.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I really appreciate you you both coming and spending some time with us today. So let's dive in. How did you two meet?
This is long. Because I've been knowing her since she's been 18 years old. So I met her through a cousin.
Okay.
You know, my cousin used to do her hair. And the crazy thing about it, I had a ex-friend that knew her. They went to school together. And she introduced her to my cousin. And I ended up with her.
Mm.
Long story short.
How many years has it been?
20, yeah. Because actually I was 17 when we met. I met him.
My bad.
Yeah.
You know how that is.
Because I met him in February. My birthday is in April. So it was a couple months. I was 17 technically. 2004.
Yeah.
I graduated. Yeah.
So 20 years.
20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm 25, yeah. But what they say with the women, it's the small things. Because she wasn't studying me, you know what I'm saying? And I remember her birthday was April the 24th. So I actually called her on her birthday. And that what let her feel like I was a good guy. And she gave me a try.
And 20 years later.
Here we are.
3
kids.
Wow.
Happily married.
Yeah.
Nice. Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you. All by getting my hair done.
Sometimes the people you meet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Connection.
And she knew my family, like, in a way. My cousin and her family, they was kind of family. Because granddaddy was talking to my cousin auntie. And I just never knew. And the first time me and her had a date, well, we hung out. It wasn't a date. I went to her cousin party.
We've been to the same places, sometimes at the same time when we compare stories, but we never
didn't even
connected.
know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And my family knew, like you said, our families knew each other. So
wow, that's kind of like cosmetic, you know?
Yeah.
Cosmos just kind of brought that into.
Right. I believe that everything is divine.
Universal. Yes. Wonderful. So 3 beautiful children. Tell me about the children. Ages.
9, 4, and newborn, a toddler.
Yeah, like 3 months.
But they all be like 4 years apart. So when we first had our first daughter, Kennedy, she was 4 years old. Mm-hmm. And then that's when my son, Kenneth Norton II, came. We call him Deuce. You know Deucey real well.
Yeah.
And now that Deucey's 4, finna turn 5 on the 28th of this month, January, we had another baby. So they all kind of like be 4 years apart at a time.
Wow.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah.
Tell me what a typical day like is in your household. How do you balance work, school, children activities?
I'm still figuring that out. Like, Kenora is only 3 months, so I'm in a phase of I had it down pat with 2. Kennedy, you know, she's 9, she's self-sufficient. Deuce, he's pretty easy. You have to help him a little bit, but he's really like fighting for his independence, so he does a lot on his own. But now I have a newborn, so time management, trying to juggle it, I'm figuring it out still. But we have like basic routines. Like I take them to school. he picks them up. So I like to have like what I call slow mornings. Like I wake up early, like an hour to 30 minutes before them. Give myself time to like decompress if I want to drink tea or whatever, or just like kind of lounge around, scroll my phone. I'll like start breakfast, and then I'll slowly wake them up one by one and drop them off just to try to give them a positive start. Because at times when I was like waking them up right on time, rushing, they would go to school. Like I would feel flustered. Yeah, then I have to come back and start work. So that's a routine. Affirmations, if you want to speak on that. That's something they do before they go to school. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they'll call me while I'm working because I'm out of the house at like before 3:00.
Wow.
So being that I drive trucks for Pepsi or whatever, I'm the delivery driver. So when I'm on the road, I can't take them to school because I'm already at work. So having a partnership and us being on the same page, it helps out a lot. So like she said, in the morning, she do everything in the morning. The breakfast, all that. And then she'll call me with Deuce and Kennedy before they get out the car. And Kennedy had to tell me her daily affirmations. She tell me I'm smart, I'm beautiful inside and out. I can do anything and everything I put my mind to, and she's strong. I had to throw the strong at the end because, you know, she gotta know that she's strong and stuff like that. And I tell her it's not just about the muscles, it's mentally. She could be strong at anything or whatever and stuff. And by the time I get off work at like sometimes 1 at the latest, but I be home early enough that I could play my part and I could pick the kids up from school. That's our day. And then when she was working before we had our last baby, you know, sometimes she'll still be working at home. So when I get the kids home, I fix lunch or whatever, or dinner, depends on the timing, and we just have family time.
Oh, that's good. So that partnership is important.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely. I ain't gonna lie. Like having kids, it's a challenge. But then having kids like by yourself.
Big ups to single mothers.
Big ups.
And how y'all do it.
Right? And not just that, at the same time, that is hard.
Yeah.
But to know that you got some single parents out there that don't have no extended help or no extended family, like it's times where things happen. I can't get the kids or whatever because my day got pushed back. Right. I could call my mom and my mom would be like, oh, no problem. She could make sure she picked the kids up and that ain't got to interfere with nothing like that. But some parents, they don't got that grandmama or nothing to help out. So it's like, man, I don't know how they do it, but salute.
Right, absolutely. It can be challenging. I'm from Connecticut originally, so when I came down here, I was one of those mothers. I didn't have nobody, no family to call on to say, hey, I'm in a bind, and you pick up the kids, I'm short on my rent, none of that, you know, so it can be challenging. I want to go back to your affirmations. I think that is very powerful, especially in this day and time with a lot of the things that our children struggle with in school. Right. You know, what made you all as a family start implementing the affirmation?
I think as I got older and listening to a lot of like podcasts with people that's very influential and like positive, I started learning the importance of affirmations just with yourself, just knowing, hey, I can accomplish this, I can do this. Sometimes I realize some of us don't know our own self-value, our self-worth. So that's why sometimes we let people disrespect us or treat us a certain kind of way because we don't think that highly of ourselves. And so now having a daughter, before I had my son, I really wanted her to know the importance of just knowing that she's smart, knowing that she's beautiful, and not just being beautiful on the outside, but more importantly, being beautiful inside. And then she could do anything and everything she put her mind to, because sometimes we have limitations or whatever, and we put them on ourselves, or we let society put them on us. And then when you just understand anything that you put your mind to, you can accomplish, she ain't got to worry about that. I put strong on later because she was dealing with things in school from bullies.
Right. People that were insecure about themselves. So then they project that on children because that's what bullying is.
And so she used to have to just deal with it. And I'll tell her, like, baby, you strong. I'm like, you just don't know how strong you are because you're not using it. Once you do see how strong you is, you'll realize or whatever and stuff. So I try to tell her that every day so she could realize, well, when the light clicks, because I know right now just repetitiveness. Right. But once they understand what they've been saying to themselves and it done seeped into their spirit, then they could project everything that they've been speaking on themselves, and then it'll come into fruition.
Right, absolutely. Wow, that's amazing. What surprising parenting lessons have you learned that contradicted your expectations before having children? What did you think it was going to be like?
I thought it was going to be easy.
Easy.
And I should have known listening to my parents as I was growing up. You know what I'm saying? They going to be like, you're going to be in the same position one day. And I used to just hear that all the time and stuff.
They know what they were talking about, right?
Yeah, they definitely knew what they were talking about.
Now, let me tell you something. On that note, before I even let y'all answer, I was going through so much with my my oldest daughter, and it just clicked. It just clicked. And I was in the shower, and I was like, oh, my God, Mommy, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it now because, you know, like you just said, they tell you, oh, okay, wait till you have your own kids. Wait till you have your own kids. You don't really realize it. You know, they also say experience is the best teacher.
You're right about that.
We can be told over and over again, but until you walk in them shoes or have those experiences, it really is not relevant, you know? And it's kind of hard to have that understanding when you really don't have the understanding because you haven't experienced it.
Right.
You know? But yeah, easy.
And you realize it's not like the most challenging is my daughter right now, you know what I'm saying? Deuce, he's only 4, so it's not too much challenging or whatever with him. But I think, like you say, growing up, I think our upbringing kind of affects our kids too in a way, you know what I'm saying? And I realized like it was times I didn't have that communication with my dad, and to him he was just being a father, the only father that he knows, because back in those days my dad is 72, so back then the fathers weren't very emotional, talk to you, communicating all the way. They were just being an authority figure and just a provider.
I was about to say, going out there and making the money. And
so it's like,
I tell you, go to school.
Exactly. I got a roof over your head and clothes on your back. Like, that's it. You know what I'm saying? But I realized, and he realized as I got older, there's a lot of things that he didn't personally even know about me. And it used to be something, a challenge with him, because he'll wonder why I be open to like my uncles and stuff. But I had to let him know, like, it's because they actually talk to me, not at me. And they ask how my day going and stuff. It's not just what I need to do and I need to do that and this and it's just always authority or whatever. So growing up like that, it made me, once I had kids, I say, you know, I just want to have a nice communication with them. So even if I do have to discipline, I'm not just disciplining them and not telling them the reasons why I'm doing it. I just try to communicate better so we can have more of like a friendship.
That's really important, communication.
Yeah.
I think parenting, everything evolves, everything changes. So as a parent, speaking for myself, when I parented the way I was raised.
Right.
You know, and it wasn't always effective. My older children were more able to fall in line, I would say, than my younger child, because I fell off and bumped my head. And I had another child in my mid-30s.
Okay.
So with her, it was more challenging. I think I was in a different place. You know, I learned about myself a little bit more. Like we just discussed, you know, learning to communicate as opposed to speaking at her. I learned to kind of give her a voice, and, you know, sometimes it got a little bit too much because they get a little too voicey. But you try to balance that out. You know what I mean? With my other kids, honey, it was strict. It's what I say. This is what it is.
And that's what it is.
And that's what it is. And to this day, though, they do have a reverence. It's a different type of reverence and respect that they have for me, you know. And I think a lot of it is fear because of the way the upbringing was. But that's how I was raised.
I think that's our approach, though.
You spare the rod, you spoil the child.
Right.
So I understand it does need to be disciplined, but it's the way that we go about it. Now, and then, like you say, too, like I realized I got a lot of tools that my dad didn't have.
Absolutely.
Because we got the internet. And then you think, like, back in the days, like some men to the day, they think they're going through things and they're the only ones going through it. And as a man, sometimes you just don't want to express yourself because
talk about it. Yeah.
That's how we was raised. Don't cry about things and all that type of stuff. So with my dad, you know, he probably had a lot of emotions. If he actually expressed himself, he'll realize, hey, his neighbor next door or whatever going through the same thing. But that's the beautiful thing about now, because we got the internet. So now we could look on YouTube or different places and hear certain people saying the same stuff that you're saying and realize we're not the only person. You could find an outage or something to help you more
cope with what you're going through, cope with life. That is a very important point right there, Kenneth, because as a woman, as a mother, as a parent, being in a marriage that it's been dissolved, I had to come to realize, oh, he did this or he didn't do that, or, we have these expectations. And I was looking at it from my perspective, but not really tuning into maybe how he was feeling.
Right.
And understanding that they say women who have the daddy, when they don't have their fathers as strong figures in their lives, they seek that still in their adult lives. It's the same thing for men. If they don't have the fathers to show them how to articulate, how to be a man, they learn from their peers, they learn from, what they see. But if they don't have anybody giving them that direction.
Right. It's hard for them to be the leader.
Absolutely.
And I think like with men, like with the moms, like I've always been a mama boy. It was easier for me to have relationships with women or whatever, like, cause I could talk to them. I was easily able to talk to my mom. I could care for my mom in a certain type of way. So it wasn't hard to be the husband that she needed. I had to grow and stuff, but I had that kind of soft side from being close to my mom. But like you say, not being like that with your dad, women are looking for that dad thing. They're looking for that leadership, somebody that they could trust and know that, you could count on them. But if you ain't had it, you don't know how to show up in that department.
Absolutely. So what have you both learned about parenting as a team then, and share how becoming as parents has impacted you personally?
The softer side, just like the love I get from my kids, like the drive I get from them. Like now I'm in a weird phase where like I just want to go harder. Like I just want to make sure they're taken care of. I want to make sure they're proud of me. Like I have this thing within me that I just want to strive for more. But yeah, definitely like the drive they give me, like the love, like it's just like the best motivation you can have, basically.
That is so true. That love is unconditional with children, and they're so forgiving.
Yeah, that's true. The pureness of them.
It's so genuine, It's so genuine.
And I could say too, it helped me be softer too, especially having my daughter first. Because I feel like if I had a little boy first, I felt like I would have had to be like maybe more stern just to show the little guy basically how to be the man of the house, or to be the head, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like it's a lot of guys out there that just let, not just say they wives, but women just run over them and stuff. And then some women, they like it to a point until they realize what you say. They looking for them father qualities. Like they looking for somebody to lead them and stuff like that. So, but having my daughter, that made me be like, I always loved her, but I knew I had to show her more love. I had to show her affection. So I didn't want to just say, hey, I love you, stuff like that. So like times I give her a kiss. Like. Yes, because we're their first examples and stuff like that. So like my daughter, she'll know what the healthy relationship should look like, because it's a lot of kids where they say you got a house, but a house ain't a home or whatever and stuff. Or even though they got a 2-parent household, the kid could feel that the parents aren't happy with each other.
Absolutely.
So I want her to see how a healthy foundation looks like.
You're gonna make me cry.
Please.
Because that is so important. I think that is so important, because you do have children that come from a 2-parent household, but they still have no idea what a functioning relationship looks like.
My parents, I ain't gonna lie, they done been married 53 years. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I know. I come from a 2-parent household, but I came from one where, like I say, my dad didn't have that soft side. But at the same time, I had to understand him and realize he didn't have the tools to be the guy. But at the same time, even though some people, they could turn their negative into a positive, I'm glad I'm one of them people.
Absolutely.
Because there's some people that just come in that, and then that's their excuse to be where they at in life. Right. And I saw it, the arguing and stuff, and they said, like, once I have a wife, I don't want my household to be arguing all the time and stuff. So it made me be a better person and stuff.
And
you know what I'm saying?
Communicate, be open to communication. Yeah, that's important. That communication piece is very strong, whether it's with the parenting, because as you said, you have to be on one accord. And if you're not communicating well, then how are you going to show up and be that example for the children?
Right.
You know, and I think that parents, sometimes we get caught up and don't realize the kids see everything that's going on. When I tell y'all, they see everything. Most of my families that come in here, when it's chaotic at home, the kids be so happy to be here. They be like, oh, and mommy and daddy and blah, 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 blah.
They tell, I know you know my kids.
They tell everything. They tell everything.
They do.
And we be like, okay. So, you know, so sometimes it's a good thing because we can encourage those positive things that are taking place at home, and we want to be a part of that. And then there are times when we have to kind of redirect the conversation and kind of soften things because there are other children that are around or what have you.
No, you're right.
And then later on, we got to kind of like, mommy, you know, we need to have a conversation.
So that's what we do. You know, and like I say, coming from that household, hearing the argument, you know what I'm saying? If it sounds me and her have a disagreement, I'll wait till we get into the room and then we'll discuss those issues. Like at first we did used to have problem co-parenting. Right. Not to say bad or nothing, but she's used to a way and I'm used to discipline. Right. So, you know, I wanted to discipline. And sometimes disciplining my kids and they say, you know, she's mad at me and we're kind of bumping heads. Right. Or sometimes if what she's saying, maybe I don't agree with at that time, I learned not to try to correct her in front of the kids.
Yeah, we understand, like the united front.
Yes.
But each child has different needs too, so I think that's also something we're learning. Like
yes.
Kennedy's super sensitive, our daughter. Like Deuce, he's not as sensitive, but he does require a lot of love. So like I feel like it's different approaches with both of them. That's something else I learned. Like it's not easy. They're not all the same. It's not like a handbook. Like each child needs their own type of fostering and just love and attention in general. Like I don't know, I think it's a growing journey. We always gonna have to like reflect back and just come back together and be like whether this approach is working, whether we need to readjust it, because I know it's not a handbook. I know,
like you said, the communication.
Yeah,
so
with the kids
understanding each other
and understanding our children. Like they're human beings. So yeah,
and they deserve to be respected. You know, because I know that from our school, like we're talking about our parents when they raised us, we were spoken at. You know, and often felt not respected. Like we didn't have a place, not heard, no voice. So in growing up like that, and then having to step out in the world, if you're not affirming who you are or acknowledging that you are somebody and you do matter, it's going to take some tripping and falling and stumbling. It's going to take a lot. And during that time, you know, people may be taking advantage of you, you know.
That's dope. I really feel that. I get that. And I never put it to that, but it is the truth because, like you said, start at the house. If your parents just telling you this and that, and then when you're trying to talk to them, they're not trying to hear what you got to say because you're a child. Stay in the child place. You just do what I say and not what I do. It's it's crazy. Now, like you say, you got to learn all those. But that's where you say we're growing more as a culture.
Yes.
Things is different.
Yeah. Because a lot of people are speaking up about it. And I think that is very important, which is one of the reasons why we created this platform to have these open conversations, because a lot of people feel like, you know, they're in situations by themselves.
Right.
Definitely. So when things get chaotic at home, how do you all create balance, keep your family grounded as a tribe?
I like trips. And I'm nature. I like the nature stuff. So we went camping. She didn't enjoy it too much because she's pregnant.
I was pregnant. I definitely didn't enjoy it.
So do you emphasize specific traditions or values from your cultural upbringing and your parenting?
I'm really strict on my daughter by pro-black because that's how I was raised. Like my mom and my dad used to sit me down. I used to watch Eyes on the Prize at like maybe 6 years old. So I knew about Emmett Till and Medgar Evers, all that type of stuff. And then in our household, we used to have like pictures of like Nelson Mandela. I didn't realize how significant, important he was, but it was used to seeing these black type of leaders in the household, like Malcolm X, and at the same time, the Black Jesus. So with dreads, you know, a lot of us, but some of us haven't grown up in the household like that. So just my growing up, I always been pro-black, and I love myself and I love our people and stuff, you know, so I try to install that in my daughter and stuff like that, especially with the schooling she's at. It's more predominantly like a Latin school of Mexicans and stuff. But sometimes when we young, we, like you say, the peer pressure. And sometimes, like where we at too in America, where they say white is right, they show all the images of, like the heroes always got to be lighter and stuff. And most of the times, like we're negative and things like that. And if we let the society and everything governs the way we think, you know, she'll think less of herself.
Absolutely.
She'll think that, hey, it's pretty to have like the blonde hair.
Programming.
Right.
Yes.
So I gotta install those type of values in her.
And it's very important, especially as a young girl.
Right.
Yeah. What about you, Kim?
Read the question again. I needed to laugh.
Certain values,
traditions as a parent, when you were young, that you implement now with your parenting.
I feel like me and you, we doing our own thing. Like when it comes to our parenting style versus how we were raised, we kind of doing it in our own way. The only thing I could think of is my family kept me busy. Extracurricular activities, like I did Girl Scouts, played the piano. You had to do a musical instrument. I was in the choir.
Wow.
Like I did track. Like I had to do something other than just go to school. So I do believe in keeping children busy, so to speak. So my daughter, she's in gymnastics. She's in dance. She does ballet and jazz, tutoring.
Mm-hmm.
Our son, he just turned 5, so we're going to sign him up for, karate. Like, I just believe in keeping them busy, keeping them involved in activities. And that also teaches them how to socialize. I think that's important other than just, going to school and things like that. So I think that's about it. We pray with them every night. We don't go to church. That is different from how I was raised. I was there 3 times a week. That's probably...
Wow.
Well, I'm not as heavy, but we're still spiritual. We still believe in God. Like,
so like you say, we're more spiritual than just religious.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think too, like with her, I know it's a tradition on her side, like Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff. Like, we all on my side we got together. But one thing I noticed with her side, they ate as a family. I used to be kind of blowed. She used to be like, babe, we got to get there by 12 o'clock. They waiting on us or whatever.
Gotta pray. No,
and then we got that. Everybody sitting at the table waiting on, you know what I'm saying?
Whoever got to hold hands and pray.
And it's like, they all going to pray together. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking around like, wow, this is some stuff I seen on the TV or whatever. And then to her, it was like, it's normal to her. So it's like, she looking like, well, but then when she get around my side, it's like, it's like, you all help yourself or whatever and stuff, you know what I'm saying? You in the kitchen, you get a plate. As I'm walking up, I got cousins on the patio eating or whatever and stuff, the backyard. Like, we're not together at the table, eating together as a family and stuff. Like, we all eating, but it's not all together or whatever. We all doing our own thing. And I thought that was beautiful or whatever and stuff. So we do that. Like, I try to have that Thanksgiving every time of the year at our house with the kids, instead of before we have kids, we'll just go to everybody else's house, pick up plates and just stuff like that. But I want to have that tradition of my kids know, hey, every Thanksgiving and Christmas, family will be popping up at the house, and we'll have a lot of people at the house.
And it's good that y'all have a balance, a difference. You have your tradition of what you were accustomed to, and then you have yours, and kind of bring it all together for the kids. That's wonderful. How are the children with families, but y'all coming together, both sides? Y'all ever, your side and your side, have y'all ever collectively gotten together like for holidays or?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It'd be good for the ones that's there. You know how family is, you know what I'm saying? So if they taking the time to come, they the right ones anyways, you know what I'm saying? So all the vibes be always good. With my wife, she got a lot of grandparents and stuff like that. That's one thing I admired when I first met her. Like, all I knew was my grandma. I'm talking about she got a grandma, a great-grandma, another great-grandma.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You got the good genes, girl, huh?
Yeah, I'll be like, you stuck with me for a while.
Her one grandma just passed, you know what I'm saying, at 102 years old.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. So are y'all both from Tampa?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So when I met her, I'm like, I met her grandma because, she sized me up, you know what I'm saying?
I know she did.
But she got all down on me. But that's my partner. We thick as thieves, you know what I'm saying? And then I met her other grandma, which I thought was her grandma. She was like, no, that's my great grandma. I said, your great grandma? She was like, yeah, my grandma that you know, that's her mama. I'm like, dang. So when I'm in awe and she steady looking like it's just normal.
I thought it was
she
normal. I ain't gonna lie,
That
took
is
it for granted. Like, I just thought everybody.
Wow.
She said, my other great grandma on the next street. I said, you got another great grandma?
Yeah.
She like, yeah, and I would have had my other grandma, but she passed like a couple years. I'm like, wow, this is
That's amazing.
crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I love to see that.
Yeah.
Talking about wisdom in the room.
Yeah.
Did you talk to him a lot, Kim? Do you?
Yeah, still. My great grandma did pass last year. She was 102, but my other great grandmother's still here. She just turned 99 2 weeks ago. So my grandmother Sarah. So I speak with her. She still gives me words of wisdom. Like, you want to know somebody tell you like it is, like call your great grandma. Like they done been here before. They done lived many lives.
She's a
like,
diva.
Yeah, she has to have her makeup. She still has a full head of hair. Like she want to be done up. Like they had to, get her
nails
beautified and done up for her birthday. Like she wouldn't just take a regular picture. She had to be done up. Like
I know that's right.
Mm-hmm. But it created like the perfect system for me growing up. Like I grew up in a neighborhood with both sides of my family, so like I always had a hot meal. I always had somewhere to go. I was safe in my neighborhood. Like everybody knew us. Like so I did grow up way different. I was a street light kid. I was outside playing to the street lights. I grew up so different from my kids now. It's kind of like sad they don't get those experiences. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The outside time, we do not see kids outside at all.
Yeah.
No.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's not the same. Even just sleeping on grandma floor with your cousins, just like, just those type of things. They don't get that. So I do like, it is a difference in how we raising them, but that is one thing they're missing. I feel like that's like really how you learn how to socialize and meet people and get that bond with your cousins.
That family, I was going to say that family connection.
That's why it's
and then we'll
missing
say
nowadays.
too that these days are different than back in the days. And then it's like I want to believe that, but what they say ain't nothing new under the sun.
I think it's what you implement.
Right. I think our fears are more because we see what's going on, and I believe all them things was still going on back in the days, like what it's called, like
it was just now it's on Front Street. Yeah, because we got the internet, and the
right,
news,
and you can see it all the time.
It puts that fear in you.
Yeah.
So it's like now, hey, we don't want our kids just out there without us, like watching them and stuff like that. And they were probably doing it back in the days and stuff too, but it just we didn't see it all the time.
That is so true.
So we keeping them from just being out there and stuff too, you know what I'm saying?
Because of our fears, we projecting. That is so true. Good point, Kenneth. That is true. And like I said, the news does not help because, it's crazy. I have a friend that will call me if we get in a storm or something like that. She's like, friend, I know you don't watch the news, but I just want to let you know this and that, this third is going on. And, and sometimes I be like, oh, I hate when they say it like that. It's bad, but when I turn that news on, like if I go to the gym, I'll hear it. And as soon as I hear something going on, I'm like, oh, like when the recently where the guy shot the big pharmaceutical owner person. When I walked in and I saw that just messed my workout up. You know what I mean? Just thinking like, that people are really out here just doing stuff. It's always so negative. Very seldom will you hear a positive story or something. If you do, it's 2 minutes. Maybe be about a dog or somebody, saved a life or something like that. But it's always negative. It's nothing to be joyful about.
Right.
It's a lot of positive things going on in the world, but you don't really hear about them unless you're on the internet.
And not even that. I'm gonna be honest with that. It's like when they say the algorithm and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So like,
what you watch.
It's what the government and everybody trying to project. They trying to project the fear or just the bad. You know what I'm saying? Stereotypes. Yeah. So even like with myself, like doing stuff in the community, that's one thing I noticed. Like if I just do a regular picture or just something regular, I can get a whole bunch of likes. You know what I'm saying? But when I promote, hey, I'm doing this back to school for the kids, or I'm doing this here giveaway for the kids for Christmas, man, I'm only getting like about 10 likes. I ain't getting that many likes. And then some people like, I didn't even see that post. Like they're not trying to share it.
Isn't that something?
When I'm putting hashtag give back, give hope type things like that or whatever, like each one teach one, it's the wording. So I feel like that's not getting out to the mass because, you know, hey, they don't want to.
That's not what they want to promote.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But my homeboy video of fighting and somebody shooting somebody, that's going viral. You know, we could share all this other toxic stuff, but all that other stuff, it don't get no light to it or whatever. So I'm with you too. I don't look at news at all, you know, and I'm a rebel. I'm against all that type of other stuff, you know, like I had my mom about to boo-hoo cry to get the vaccine. She's like, baby, you just gotta do it, please. I say, Mom, please, just don't even cry. I'm like, I love you, but I'm just trying to save you from your tears because I'm just not doing it. It's not that I don't love you. It's just, I'm talking about every other day. Baby, they say it's a million and so it's 100. I'm like, Mom, just turn the TV off.
Yeah. It was really
like the way you looking at it, it's just causing all this like fear and people just jumping and doing things, not because they really put thought into it. It's just because they're scared.
Yes.
And let me just do this. And now that it's all said and done, a lot of people are like thinking maybe I could have did things a little different or whatever. But
absolutely,
I'm kind of glad I don't look at the news. I hear it was like a hurricane coming around the corner one time. I'm like, dang, baby, said hurricane. It's like, babe, they've been talking about this for like 4 days.
So I have to call him like, it's going to be real bad because you drive. So I feel like, at least look at the weather, bro. So, you know, dress appropriate. So I have to tell him.
Or what? You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I be going with the wind. You know what I'm saying? But it works for me.
Right. Because you got to keep your peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
So that you could be an upstanding man for your tribe.
Yeah, I gotta detach from all that other stuff. I tell a lot of, if it don't deal with my address, my immediate household, what's outside of here, I really don't care about.
So tell me a little bit about the stuff you do in the community.
Well, I started off feeding the less fortunate, and me and my friend, we just talking about how like we want to impact our community in a positive way. So we started like feeding the less fortunate. We used to go together and just put $20 together and get like 40 cheeseburgers. And then people started seeing what we was doing. It started growing. And then it was at a timeline. I show up to McDonald's. They used to hate to see me. I'd be like, I need 100 cheeseburgers.
Oh my God.
One people like, for real, come on. I'm like, for real, I need 100 cheeseburgers. Then they were like, hey, we need 100 cheeseburgers on the way. And it was cool though. I liked it. Like, you know, just doing that. And then it was coming up about August with the kids going back to school. So it was our first year. And I just told my friend, I was like, you know what? Next month, I really don't want to feed the homeless people. Let's like try to do it back to school. And so he was like, all right. I was like, instead of 20, just match $100. So I'm like, boom, we got 200 just between me and us. Like we could get like supplies. And then I got my wife. She's always been supportive. And my grandma, her grandma, she's always been supportive. So before you know it, I've raised like $500 for supplies. But I went to a barber. I asked them how they ever did it back to school. They was like, no, they never did it. They want to do it, but they don't know how to go about it. And I was like, well, let's do it. I said, I could get all the supplies, all this and this and this. And so they was like, well, what you want us to do? I said, I just want y'all to do what y'all do on the regular, like cut hair. I said, if y'all could just give me 4 hours of y'all time, and that'll be y'all give back. So I do back to school for the kids. All the little boys, they get a free hairdo. Sometimes we get a lot of women beauticians to see what we doing, and the little girls get their hair done too, because I believe in, you know, it's our image or whatever. If a kid go to school, hair, they say woolly bully or any kind of way, they don't feel good about themselves or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They might not want to raise their hand and do things because they don't want the attention. But if they looking good, they feeling good. So I just try to help some of the parents, because I know how hard it is to be a parent or to be single. Sometimes you're spending all your money on the nice clothes and the supplies that, hey, maybe this haircut save you some money.
Yeah.
So anywhere where we could kind of put a hand in and helping each other. And so then I went back to feeding the less fortunate. Then all of a sudden it was coming around Christmas. And I thought about myself when I was a child. I gotta make a disclaimer on this. My parents always got me because I told this story at my last event. And my parents was there and they just hear me saying, yeah, when I was young, all I used to get was a football and a basketball all the time.
And they're like, what?
Yeah. They man, you showing up laying it on good for these kids or whatever. They really going for this. And when it was over and said and done, I got my parents in front of me like, so I want to know about this basketball and football. And I'm like, what you mean? She like, that's all you got all the time? I said, hold up, Mom. Like my parents, I got all the new gaming systems that I wanted or whatever stuff. Like it was never a problem. But, you know, my grandma, she was in the projects. So I growed up in the projects going to my grandma's house every day. We went to school from there and all. So like they had the housing authorities, and the housing authorities used to do things for the inner city kids, like give Christmas toys. Every time I went, I tell this story, I really wanted a Ninja Turtle or something like that. But all they was giving us was footballs or basketballs. And playing with that year in and year out, I really didn't need that or whatever and stuff. I just wanted a toy. So I was sitting back thinking about it. I was like, man, I wonder if the kids going through the same thing I was going through. And then it was like, I was wondering like, maybe somebody changed it or whatever. But then that's when it hit me. Like a lot of times, we waiting on the change instead of being the change.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? Hey, match my $100. And he was down with that, my friend. And before you know it, I was like, man, we're going to raise up like 500 toys over 6x6. My friend thought I was crazy. I was too at that time, but I always knew the dream big. I'm like, even if we don't hit 500, we don't know how close we could get to it. But if I only set a limit as 100, you know, I might settle for 25 or 50 toys or whatever and stuff. But man, the day of people was pulling up on me, I hit that goal. I had a bounce house.
Wow.
I had everything for the kids or whatever and stuff. So it was like, I wanted to get the kids things that I didn't have. So when they come, they see their own gift. We unwrap them. They be on the table. They pick exactly what they want. And then we was doing a bicycle raffle just to make it fair for the kids. Because every kid that came, they would got a bicycle.
Right.
So we just get them a raffle ticket. We get them a toy. Well, they let them pick out their toy. Then when it's all said and done, we call them in for the raffle ticket. But before we do that, we give them like a motivational speech. Sometimes I get a speaker to say something or whatever because I believe in intellectual gifts, because them gifts we give them, they just going to play with them for a little bit of time and throw them to the side. But if they understand certain things that we telling them and they stick with just one kid for a lifetime, I'm cool with that.
Oh, that is amazing. And that makes you proud, Hanai.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's good. So how long you been doing that?
Since 2015. I started feeding the less fortunate like same month, I think. My daughter was born in October. And then by the time 2016, that's when the back to school and the Christmas came later on. And now that my daughter older and my son, I try to implement them in it just so they could they could realize, you know what I'm saying, what they doing and how they impacting things. And I try to tell them, you know, some of these kids ain't got the Christmas like you got with all the toys and stuff. So sometimes it's, as my organization calls, better to give than receive. And I tell the kids too, like, everybody want to receive, but if nobody giving, how can we be receiving and stuff? And then I know it's important to see themselves doing this. Because when I first started, I had friends like, hey, I want to do something like it, but I need a grant. They feel like they need the government. They need certain type of people money just to make certain things happen. And I'm like, I ain't got none of that.
Right. Sometimes it's just word of mouth and your intentions. You got to be intentional about what it is that you're doing.
Right.
Wow, that is amazing. It's really good. I didn't know that you did that. I think I was speaking to another parent, and she know you. I told her you was going to be coming on for the podcast. Okay. And she said, yeah, he does a lot in the community. And I was like, really? So I didn't even know that you were out there like that.
I'm trying.
You doing it. You're not trying. You doing
it. We doing it. And then it just, you know, like I say, changing the stereotypes. You know, and when I was doing it, I was talking to an older gentleman, and he was black, and he was like, man, you had the right point. I'm like, I am? He was like, yeah. He like, because for me, I'm old. When I'm doing it, the young kids just see me as old, and I'm like, I understand what he's saying.
Yeah, like, you know, old pops.
Yeah, pops don't understand. Right. They always trying to kick that type of talk. You know, they don't understand our times. But being that I'm older and I'm not old like that, the kids can see somebody that they want to admire. Like, yes, I got the tattoos, I got the dreads, so I don't look just like clean cut or tell them they got to walk straight and all this else. So they could kind of see themselves in me. And when they get older, they know they could do the same thing.
And just accepting them where they are. That is so true. We all want to be accepted. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's very valuable. So we talked about some things you all do as a family to keep you all grounded as a unit. What do you do for your own self-care? As a mother of 3, how do you keep
Well, let me see. Well, I mentioned my slow mornings earlier. That's important. Probably shopping.
I'm gonna say the nails. It's certain times when she need her time. She'll be like, babe, I'm finna go get my eyebrows and my nails done. So I know she's gonna be gone for a couple hours or whatever. But that's like her self-care. She could just be with herself, get pampered. Right. Women like pampering, so she go get pampered, and that's her time.
Yeah, I could agree. That's lately, besides Target, my Target runs. Yeah, that's just my me time. I used to journal a lot, but I'm getting into it more now, and I like to read it, which is weird. Some people journal, they never read it, but like when I read my journals from 5 years ago, and I saw how far I came. I was like, I need to get back into it because sometimes you don't realize the progress that you've made and what you achieved. And I'm like, I want to get back into journaling, my meditation, like just something just to keep me centered. Something I can do at home that don't involve spending money.
Right. And that's important. And that's true. That journaling is so relevant because what you're writing in the moment is where you are, right then and there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But like we talked about, change is always going to happen. Everything it evolves. So to be able to then go back and look, I have journals from 1993, 91, that when I first started just writing, I'm thinking to myself, wow, look how far you've come.
Mm-hmm. That's dope though.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say as a guy, you know what I'm saying? Okay, I can't say as a guy, but I don't want to like limit it just fellas, because there's some fellas that's more emotional and they understand their emotion and they don't mind writing their emotions down. You know what I'm saying? But I know like with females, y'all are more emotional and it's probably nothing for y'all to do it. So like me growing up, like I was saying at the time, our culture sometimes we think that cool stuff is bad, bad is cool. So as a guy, I was like, man, I want to sit up writing some journal down, your feelings and stuff. So it was like, I never growed up doing that. But I started making music. And I think music was my journal. Yeah. I could just get in the booth and I could just talk about what's going on. And that was a way of coping in for myself. I liked it to rap, but it was easy for me too or whatever. But I could see that with the journaling. So I think that's pretty cool.
And that's what they say about rap too. It's just a way of, it's an expression, whether it was, what you're going through now, how you were raised, where you want to go, how you want to be seen. Yeah, that's true. Wow, I didn't think about it that way.
I didn't either until I was already doing it. And then I'm like, it's like a stress reliever.
Yeah, just putting it all out on paper. Like, yeah.
And then to be able to verbalize it and throw some beats.
Yeah.
I'm from up top. I love rap. I just don't like the rap.
And I want to say that too. Like, when you say you're from Connecticut, the one thing I can say being a Tampanian, like I be hearing people like a tampon. No, it's not a tampon. It's a Tampanian. Really? You got a Miamian, a Floridian, like I'm a Tampanian. But
Tampanian.
I could tell from being around people that I'm like, you ain't from here. It was a guy in Ybor City, like, trying to talk to me and this and that. I'm like, where you from, bro? He like, no, I'm from here. I'm like, nah, man, where you from? He like, well, I done been here since. I'm like, I understand you done been here since 2009 and all that, but originally, I know you from somewhere else. Like, I could tell. Like, the way people talk, everything, you can kind of tell. I didn't pick that up from you.
Really?
Nah, like, I didn't hear, like, no accent. Like, you must have been here a long time.
I have been here a while.
How long?
94.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When I get a little elevated, then that it comes right back in. That up top come through.
Okay.
Yeah. But for the most part, I'm pretty mellow.
All right.
So what do you do besides your rapping? What do you do for downtime?
I don't even rap no more. But
really?
Once I had my daughter, that was a hobby. It wasn't bringing the bread. You know what I'm saying? And it was cool. Then when I didn't have a family, I could just kind of go off the whim and just do things how I was doing them. But now having a family, like that wasn't paying the bills. I had to have things more concrete and solid. Okay. So I got friends where they still be wanting me to do it or whatever. It's still something, but now I like to try to meditate. And I say try because it been a challenge doing it at before, but now I'm trying to just be more consistent, and I feel like I get to that place that I need to be. But yeah, just trying to drown out the noise and
quiet.
Yeah, focus on the things that I need to focus on, or like you say, the quietness. So the right stuff I could receive, so I could be better. Because like you say in the question before, like getting away from the chaos. Sometimes we don't even know we be in the chaos.
Right.
And then the chaos all of a sudden then got a hold of you, and then your house the chaos. Right. But it's good to have self-awareness to realize sometimes when you're out of alignment or out of balance, then you just, that's what I do. Sometimes I listen to certain podcasts. Like I like Ralph Smart. Infinite Waters.
Yeah.
Man, I can't wait. I'm going to meet him. I'm speaking into existence, but he helped me a lot with my growth too.
Slow motion this side.
Breathing that beautiful prana. Start looking up what's prana, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I know he ain't saying a fish or whatever, but what's prana? And then it's like one of the 5 breaths of like yoga or whatever.
Yes.
So like, and him, he used to always talk about like a 7-day vegan challenge.
Yes, because he's vegan. And
it took a while.
I eat berries.
And then I just like I don't eat meat, but I'm not a vegan. But people like that, it helps me with my growth or whatever and stuff. So I could just say things like that. Just when I'm feeling out of whack, or I'm feeling like the world and everything else is kind of getting a little too much, I kind of put things on or get quiet just to get more grounded.
I do the same thing. And I have one of my daughters feel like if she always tell me, "Are you okay? You okay?" And I'll be like, "Yeah." I'm a Scorpio too, so sometimes I just need that space, And she checked me in a minute. Listen, you center the household, so if you off, we all off.
That's right.
And but then I'm saying to myself, that's a heavy burden.
Yeah.
To have to monitor.
Mm-hmm.
But I do try to make sure that I stay centered, and if I am off, I try to step off and step away so I can get myself together and then come back.
Yeah, I'll do that with you sometimes if I feel like I'm like to that level where I need to disconnect, or sometimes you just get overstimulated.
Yeah,
as a mom, you can.
Yes.
Like it's not personal. You just need to disconnect and get yourself together. So I kind of tell my hey, I need you to kind of tap in, like step away for a second. Yeah. So the kids are like, "Where mommy at?" Then he have it. Mommy busy. She'll be back in a little bit. Like, yeah,
absolutely.
That's important.
And then go ahead.
From your energy, I feel like we probably. Do you have a lot of people call on you a lot? I feel
that's him.
That's me. So it's like outside of just my household, I got people that just feel like be relying on me. They calling me. They like respect my opinion and value my opinion. So it's like dealing with a lot of that. Sometimes you just have to step away, and then it be sad because I know like.
People going through things.
That's where I'm at in life, and I know how he's using me, you know what I'm saying, to help the people around me. But then to be a person like that, it gets to a point where you like, man, if I'm helping everybody around me and I'm giving everybody all the good advice, like when I'm going through it, who do I call on?
Because you feel like you're depleted.
Mm-hmm. And some people feel like, they maybe don't have nobody that they can turn to just like them, but at the same time, you gotta learn to like find other coping things to just deal with things. So like Ralph Smart, he's my guy. You know what I'm saying? I go to people like that, and then it's like, okay, it gets me to where I need to be at, as they say, with iron sharpen iron and stuff like that. So
absolutely. And I had to learn to set boundaries, which is hard for me because I'm just giving, naturally. And you want to see people. I know I want to see people happy. I want to see people be successful. You have some energies that suck onto that for their own personal reasons, and then you have some people who suck onto that because they really absolutely need that energy for upliftment. And as long as I'm okay with giving it without losing myself.
Right.
And sometimes you get, like we talked about earlier, you get caught up, you know what I mean? And you end up losing yourself. And then when you need somebody, you fall and you're like, "Ah, they win somebody." It's never like, see you when you get up, when you get done with that process, right? But one thing I can say is for myself is being in the space that I'm in, I have a great support system. I got a few sisters that if I can call on, just like, "Hey, I need you right now," they're coming. Whether it's in body, whether it's this is a phone call, I call somebody because I'm about to jump. They know what I mean. I need some comment. I need some conversation. And then being in the space with these beautiful children every day, when I tell you there can be times when I'm just somewhere else. I wear a lot of hats, a lot of things going on personally, professionally. I'm a close person, so I don't really talk a lot, right? But if I need a hug, one of them babies, I get one on my leg. They just come behind me or whatever. And I get so emotional sometimes because they know right in the moment when I need all of that and bring me right down. Yeah. So I'm really grateful every day for the experiences I have as an educator to be able to be in the space with these babies.
Yeah. It's your calling.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And I embrace it wholeheartedly. All right, let me see. Do I have anything else for you guys here? One thing I would like to ask as parents, we've covered a lot, and this has been great information. I think that as parents, we don't hear a lot from other parents because nobody wants to feel like they're parenting wrong, right? And there's no right or wrong way. I think, Kim, you said that there's no handbook. We know that. That's one of the things that I stated in one of my books as well. We're all here just experiencing on what it's like and what it's like for you, me, somebody out there. It's different for everybody. Right. Depending on our upbringing, how we like to show up for our children. But I think it's very, very important that we remember that communication is the key, and also meeting the children where they are and not expecting them to be what we expect them to be. Allow them to be who they are because they all came here to be who they came here to be, right? Yeah. That being said, as parents, what would you offer best practices for parenting right now in 2025 based on your experiences as parents?
More family time. And like you say, communication. I say more family time just to get away from, as we see, all the distractions and stuff. And you could just take the time to focus on your kid. And my wife would say too, like, they say one-on-one time.
Yeah, we date our children. Like, they have their own dates with us separately.
Oh, yeah. That's amazing.
They get their one-on-one time. Just checking in with your kids, see how they feeling. Like, what's going on at school? Like, what can I do better as a parent? Like, when you see, like, certain characteristics in your child, they're getting it from you, like you mentioned earlier. So sometimes it's a self-reflection on things you have to check so they don't continue to show those behaviors also. I just think communication is a big deal in the one-on-one. Yeah. Yeah. We set goals every year, or we'll just, like, recap on last year and just say, like, what we can do better. So this year we decided to be more intentional with family dinners. Like, we all eat together, but it's kind of like the kids are at the kid table. We're at the counter, the kitchen counter eating. But we're going to utilize our dining room space. We're going to put the phones down, the cell phones, and just... That's it too. Yeah. Just go back to old school. How was school? Like, everybody's...
Some conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you say, less screen time. That's something that we could work on as a family, because if we're not governing, the society gonna have them the way that they.
Yeah, you two won't raise my children.
Sometimes the parents, they ain't got the time, or they don't want to take the accountability. You know what I'm saying? To do the thing, because maybe, like you say, the pressure of everything they got to them. So sometimes, like as we say, they need to recognize that, be able to get into a safe place, a space where they could just get all that stuff out. And then show up to be the person that they need to be, because, like you say, the kids count on them. And if you ain't straight, your communication ain't right, then you can't expect the kids to have the same thing.
Right. And then another thing I think that some of us as parents don't realize is that they see everything. The kids are sponges. They suck up everything. So if your coping mechanism is the phone, and every time they see you, them babies can get under one. Man, they know how to swipe that screen because they are watching you. So if they know this is your coping mechanism, this is how you have your downtime, that's the same thing they're going to want to implement. So we be better examples and showing how we like for them to be. We have to show up and be an example of that. And I know as a parent, when I had my older children a long time ago, I had them young. I had my first child when I was 18. I felt like I wanted to have my time. I didn't have I didn't have the experience of going to the club. I didn't have the experience of going out. I was raised in the Islamic community after having her. So it wasn't, so read about that in my book.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a backstory to all of that. But once I stepped out and wanted to, get in the mainstream world, if you will, I was like, Dad, I missed all of this. I felt like I missed something. So I wanted to catch up, right?
Right.
But at this time, now I got 2 kids.
Right.
So I know that parents feel like, well, Dad, when is my time? When am I going to have my time? And I'm not, just many young mothers, especially nowadays, and they feel like, the only time maybe that they have is to get in their phone, you know what I mean? Or, like you need some way, some time to get away from lifing, if you will. But I don't feel that that's the way right now. I know that some of it is okay, but I feel like we engulf ourselves in that too much as opposed to really tapping into what's going on within, you know what I mean? And kind of try to find a balance.
And I can say that's the beautiful thing I say about us or whatever. Like, we not your traditional, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got a friend that was like, man, you the only person I know that prepared for a baby. Like, y'all planned the baby. Like,
oh, wow. Nice.
And I used to listen to this lady. Her name Dr. Frances Chris Wilson. You ever heard of her? Man, she was so dope. But she was like, if she had a one, what she could do for the culture. Like, she said the guys, I think, have kids around 35. The women, like 30. Say, because by that time, everybody's more mature. Because she like, his babies having babies. Exactly what you were just saying. Yeah. She like, you got the kids that's having the babies young. And they feel like they missing the club, they missing that and that. So they kind of push the kids to the side or to the grandparents or whatever and stuff, so they could kind of live their life. But really, they taking away from the nourishing the baby and stuff, and the baby ain't getting the type of love that they need. So it's a lose type of thing or whatever and stuff. So to the people out there that ain't got kids yet, take your time. You know what I'm saying? It ain't a rush. I used to feel like I waited long, but I realized I waited the right time because when I came home from work, I didn't mind being a father. Like, that's a new chapter of my life. Like, my 20s, I was wild, just doing stuff. Like, I ain't have nothing to worry about or whatever and stuff. But now, like,
finding your way.
Right. I got a family now. It's like coming in, hear my baby say, Daddy. Like, I liked it that or whatever and stuff. And then I had some of my younger cousins that's in their 20s having kids and all that. They like, oh, man, once you come to the aunt's house, and I'm like, man, I'm leaving from work and I'm going all the day. And then I come home around maybe 6 and I'm going to spend a couple hours with you guys. I feel like that went right to my kids to just take that time away from them or whatever. But being more mature, it helps when you do have these kids or whatever stuff, because you could make best decisions and stuff instead of just, like you say, trying to learn your way, find your way, and trying to find a way for the kids too. Like, man, that's a lot.
It is. It was a lot, but we made it through.
I give you that.
And it's a process. It's a learning experience, but you got to know who you are, and a lot of us don't.
And at the same time, too, if you really do believe in a higher power, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything is divine.
Absolutely.
And like they say, they'll never put too much on you that you can't, you know what I'm saying, bear. But if you didn't have it probably wouldn't have made you this beautiful person spiritually, how you evolve if you didn't have them at that young age or whatever stuff.
Absolutely.
Some people, they let the pressures kind of be too much for them. And I just feel like, you got strong people and weak people. You know what I'm saying? The weak people, they're going to think every excuse to fall short.
Absolutely.
I'm not here in life because I had these kids at 18. This and this was going on. My parents, like, everybody ain't got a perfect canvas or whatever and stuff. So you got to just make the best of what you got to deal with and just strive and move forward with it.
Absolutely. So, I totally agree. And then you have to have balance, because just think if we had everything going right, it wouldn't be a challenge and you wouldn't evolve, right? So you have to create some type of balance. I do believe in that. I don't believe in good and bad. I just believe in what is.
Right. You say you got some people, they get a house given to them. Before you know it, them kids done sold that house and so fast because they don't see the value of it.
Absolutely, because they didn't have to work for it.
And then, like us, we got our own place, but when I come home from work, I actually pull up to something I actually earned. Not like, oh, my parents left me this here. Like, it's a different type of feeling knowing that you earned it.
It really is. It really is. I agree. Wow, this has been amazing. I don't want to go.
Hey, I enjoyed it.
I did too. I thank you guys. Is there anything else you all want to talk about? Anybody want to say anything else before we go? Is there a way that we could reach you in regarding your stuff that you do for the community? Maybe we have some people out here that may want to sponsor you.
Yeah, give them the page.
Okay, on my page on Facebook, it's hashtag it's better to give than receive. And it's a group. You could just join the group. But I got it's better to give than receive on Instagram. It's the acronyms or whatever. So it's IBTGT. It's something like that. It's better to give than receive. It's just the first letters of it's better to give than receive. Not then to receive, just then to receive.
Perfect. So we got some sponsorship out there. This man's doing great things in the community. Let's tap in. Thank you all so much for coming. This has been very informative, and I'm sure that our listeners are going to have some great takeaways. So thank you.
Thanks for having us.
To everyone listening, this is a space where diversity and innovation are created. If you'd like to be a guest or collaborate, I'd love to hear from you. Email me at AnnetteE05@gmail.com, or you could message me on Instagram at TrueGoddess14. Let's keep planting seeds, building relationships, knowledge, and understanding. Until next time, keep evolving.